Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about design of staircases. So there are different kind of staircases that I think you have already got in your previous semesters. Just like depending upon the configuration, we have dogleg staircase, we have open well or quarter turn or half turn kind of staircases. So there are different kind of staircases you might get. Also from the perspective of design, there might be you might get cantilever kind of staircases as well. Here we are going to discuss about the dogleg staircase. So I think there is no need to discuss what is a dogleg staircase, so we will directly dive into our problem. So here the question is, design a dogleg staircase for an office building. Given the data, the height of each floor is 3.2 meter. That means floor to floor level. Okay, suppose this is one floor and this is the other floor. Then the distance from here to here, top to top. Okay, this is 3.2 meter. Okay, suppose this is one floor and this is another floor. In that case, from top to top of this floor to the top of this floor is 3.2 meter. Then riser is 160 mm and tread is 270 mm. Then width of light or landing width is 1.25 meter. The landing width is 1.25 meter. So if I show you the plan of a staircase, it looks like something like this, right? So here this part is the landing, this is the going, and this is landing as well. So the landing width is given as 1.25 meter. Okay, so here the live load is given 5 kilonewton per meter square. The finished load, there might be some suppose tiles or something just over the steps or just over the footing, so sorry, just over the staircase. So that finished load is taken as 0.6 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, so assume the stair to be supported on 300 mm thick beam at the outer edges of the landing, parallel to the riser. Use M20 concrete and Fe415 is your mild exposure condition. And okay, yeah. So we have to assume mild exposure condition. So before going into this, I would like to suggest you to go through the or imagine or visualize a dogleg staircase, the plan as well as the elevation. Okay, so the design, if we go into the design, so the first thing that is we are going to consider is the riser. The riser is given 160 mm. These are the data which are provided. The tread is 270 mm. Now if you see, suppose this is the waist slab. Okay, another thing that I want to say that this particular staircase is a waist slab type of staircase. That means we have a waist slab. Suppose this is the landing. Okay, this is the landing over here. Then over the waist slab we have the steps. Okay, so this is the waist slab and these are the steps. Okay, this is the waist slab and this is a step. So the design, the particular dogleg staircase that we are going to design is a waist slab type of staircase. There are some other kind of riser or tread kind of staircase that you can encounter which is aesthetically more pleasing. It looks like something like this. Let me draw it properly. So it is something like this. There is no waist slab. Okay, so it is something like this. From the soffit it looks like it's a zigzag pattern. The riser and treads are there but there is no waist slab. Okay, so this kind of staircase are also there. These are aesthetically more pleasant looking, but the particular design we are going through is a waist slab type. So here the soffit is not zigzag but it's a straight. Okay, just we have a slab, this is called waste slab, and over the waste slab the steps rest. Okay, so this is the kind of design we are going to do in this particular problem. Now the diagonal, that means we have to look at the step. Suppose this is the step, so here this side, this is riser, this is tread. So riser is given as 160 mm and the tread is given as 270 mm. So the diagonal, if you see what is the dimension or what is the length of the diagonal is root over r square plus t square, which is 313. So this is 313.8, say suppose 5 mm. Okay, so this is the riser. You will see how, where we are going to use that, you will see that. So but the thing is, you need to find out the diagonal of the step. Okay, we will see how to use it. Then landing width, the landing width is L landing is given as 1.25 meter, which is all in the question itself, and FCK is M20 considering moderate or mild exposure condition, and FY is 415, which are also given. Then a support width is 300 mm. So here if you see, it has been mentioned that the supporting beam is along the or in parallel with the riser, right? So if you see the plan of a staircase, something look like this, right? That means here if these are the risers, so if I say that the beams where the lane, where the slab or where the staircase is supported is parallel to the riser, then you can see that this beam is over here. Okay, this 300 mm beam is over here. Or if you say the support condition, the support can be said to be here, this side is fixed and this side is fixed. Fine. So here you can see that the whole slab is going to act, or this whole slab is spanning longitudinally along this direction. The slab is spanning means the support, if you see the support condition, it is something like this. Okay, it is going to deflect. So this particular landing as well as the whole going or the whole staircase is spanning longitudinally. If suppose I say that the support beams are not here, support the support is perpendicular to the riser. Okay, in that case suppose we have the support perpendicular to the riser. Okay, suppose the support is here, or this is fixed support, or suppose some beams are there. In that case you can see that this landing is going to deflect transversely. So in this kind of landing are called spanning transversely. These are not spanning longitudinally, because if you see from this side, it just you will see the landing. These are two supports, sorry, these are two supports, and this is going to bend something like this way. So it is going to bend in this direction. So these are called transversely spanning in the transverse direction. But when we had the support here parallel to the riser, we have spanning in the longitudinal direction. Okay, so this is also, you can see these are two types of staircases considering the support condition. It might be spanning in the longitudinal direction, or it can be spanning in the transverse direction. We will see where we are going to use this particular concept. So here landing is already given, this 1.25, which is clear landing. Okay, clear landing span. Then support width is given 300 mm, which is parallel to the riser as per the question. Then here floor to floor height is given, HS is equal to 3.2 meter. That means the height is given as 3.2 meter. So now the next task is to find out how many numbers of trades and or the steps will be required, or how many numbers of risers will be there, how many numbers of trades will be there, and what will be the total length. That we need to find out first. Okay, so we know that a particular going or a particular flight of a stair is covering the half of the height, right? For a particular dogleg staircase, for the dogleg staircase, one flight will cover half of the height. So suppose this is the one half, so this one half will be 3.2 by 2, right? This is the height, right? And this height should be taken care of by the number of risers. So number of riser will be how much? H by 2 by the riser of each step. So how many steps will be required, or how many risers will be required? This is 10 numbers of risers will be required. Okay, then how many numbers of thread are required? So numbers of thread is equal to number of riser minus 1, which is 9. I think you already know all these things. Okay, so just now I am repeating so that uh, you can just remember what you have studied in the previous semesters. So here, that now you need to find out what is the total span. So if you see, the number of riser is 10 and number of thread is 9, right? So each thread is how much? It is 270 mm. So the total going, suppose this is called going, okay, this is called going, this is the landing part, and this is also the landing part. Okay, so the going part will be how much? There is 9 numbers of thread into each thread has a width of 270 mm. So this is the total width of the going. So that is what we have done, nt into t is the thread width and this is numbers of thread. So this is 9 into 270 plus this side you have landing and the other side also you have landing. So total is L landing this side plus L landing on the other side. So landing is how much? 1.25 meter, right? And this is also 1.25 meter. So total clear span, because the support width is over here, right? So the total clear span is given by 4.93 meter. Understood? The total clear span of the whole slab or the whole flight is 4.93 meter. Okay, now the thing is, as just like beam, we have to design the slab as the staircase also. So here, first thing we need to know what is the effective span. So what is the effective span? So for effective span for staircases, you can go to the clause number 33. Here the clause number 33.1 says that effective span of stairs. So what does it says? The effective span of stairs without stringer beam. So what is stringer beam basically? So in certain cases of of staircases, you will find that the beam, supporting beam, runs along with the steps or along with the flight. Okay, suppose you have the beam here, then the slab or the staircase is over here. Okay, the staircase is over here, so which is supported by the beam. This beam is running parallel to the going or parallel to the flight of the staircase. So this is called stringer beam, and this is not, if stringer beam is there, this is not means acceptable. This particular clause will not be used. If you are using if the in the staircase that you are designing, the stringer beam is not there, then only we are going to use 33.1. Okay, so for our case, what is the condition here? Suppose this is the flight, this is the total actual flight of the stair. Here we have the beam and here we have another beam, right, which is a dimension of 300 mm. This is 300 mm, this is 300 mm, beam size 300 mm, landing is 1.25, landing is 1.25, and this is now much 9 into 270, right? So this is the total actual configuration. So as we have support parallel to the riser in this side, so we can use, these are not called stringer beam. Stringer beam has to run through the flight, along the flight. Okay, it has to run along the flight. So this is not happening, so stringer beam is not present, so we can use this particular clause, that is 33.1. Now let's go in detail. So how to find out the effective length? Where suppose condition A, where the supported at top and bottom risers by beams spanning parallel with the riser, the distance center to center of the beam. So effective span where support at the top and bottom risers. Suppose you have the flight is something like this, support is over here and over here. This is the first riser, top bottom riser, this is the top riser, right? So because steps are here, so this is the top riser, this is the bottom riser. So if the support is over here and the landing is just like a overhang portion, in that case the span or the effective span should be considered as center to center of the beam. From here, from center of this beam to the center of this beam, this is the effective L effective. Okay, for condition A. Then condition B, where the spanning on the edge of a landing slab which spans parallel with the risers a distance equal to going up the stairs plus at its end either half the width of the landing or 1 meter, whichever is smaller, we can refer to figure 17. What does it say? When spanning on the edge of a landing slab with spans parallel with the riser. Okay, so here if the landing slab is supported on this side, on the edge, okay, suppose this is the case, if it is supported on the edge, spanning on to the edge of a landing slab, okay, which spans parallel with the riser. That means the slab or the landing slab spans parallel to the riser. That means if you have a support along this side, in which direction this landing slab is going to span? This is going to span in this direction, right? In this direction, which is parallel to the riser. So this is the condition. If the support condition is on both the side, like here, where the landing slab is going to deflect something like this, or it is spanning in the parallel to the riser, in that case the effective span should be taken as half the distance or 1 meter, whichever is smaller. Okay, we will see, or you can see, I think I should show you this particular figure. This is figure 17. Here you can see xx y. Okay, this is going, this is the landing, this is landing over here, and this is the landing. So depending upon different conditions, if x is less than 1 meter, x is less than 1 meter, y is less than 1 meter, then span should be z plus x plus y. If x is less than 1 meter and y is greater than or is equal to 1 meter, then it is z plus x plus 1. So something like this you have to find out. Here support is here, support condition is here, so it is the slab is going to span along this direction. Okay, the support is here. Okay, if the support is here, what will be the case? Let's see the case number 3, C condition. The condition C says where the landing slab spans in the same direction of the stairs. The landing slab spans in the same direction of the stairs. That means what? That means the support is over here. So in that case, it will span in this direction. It will going to deflect something like this. So it is span along the direction of the stairs. So the support condition is over here. In that case, along this acting together, they shall be considered as acting together to form a single slab, and spans determined as the distance center to center of the supporting beam or the wall, the going being measured horizontally. Okay, so the effective span should be considered as this one, from center to center. That means for our case, this is the beam, this is the slab, this is the going, then again landing, then again the beam, right? So our effective span will be center to center. This is L, center to center will be the effective length. But here the going should be measured horizontally, horizontal measurement. That means here up to here, whatever this distance, this diagonal distance you need not measure, you need to measure this horizontal distance. Okay, that is what we need to find. So this is the effective span for our case. I think if the different conditions are given, I think you can find out what is the effective span for your staircase. So now let's find out what is our effective span. So as per clause 33.1c, the effective span will be center to center span, and which will be L clear. L clear is already we have calculated, plus the width of the support, because this center to center of the beam, supporting beam. So half of the supporting beam in this side, half of the beam this side, half, and other side half, right? So or you can say total, you just add the width of the support, and you get it 5.23 meter. Okay, so this is from here, from the center of this beam to the center of the beam is 5.23 meter. This is what is the effective span of our staircase. Now let's find out what is the thickness of the slab, waste slab basically. So if you refer to IS 456, if you remember, for different types of beam, depending upon the condition of support as well as the deflection criteria, we can find out L by D ratios. So L by D ratio for simply supported is 20, right, and L by D for fixed support is 26. Now here our case is fixed support condition, so we are going to take 26. So L effective by 26, you can find out the effective depth as at around 201.154 mm is required to take care of the deflection criteria. So let us assume that the overall depth of the waste slab is 250 mm, greater than this value, and the effective depth becomes how much? So it will be D minus 20 mm. Okay, and minus 20 mm is what? This is for the, what to say, the clear cover mild condition, right? And 12 by 2, also you can subtract the with as this is a slab basically, the other thing you might skip. So here suppose this is the effective depth is D minus 20 mm minus 12 by 2 mm, so which is 224 mm. Okay, so this is the effective depth for the waste slab. Now one thing, okay, I will discuss it in the later page. Let's see, as a moment in the landing beam. Okay, so this is the waste slab, right? This is the waste slab. The waste slab thickness we have assumed 250. Now you can see that all our loading is basically maximum in the going portion. Okay, in the landing portion the moments are very less. Also it is, as this is as you can consider as a beam, you know that the moment is maximum at the near the span and it is actually minimum near the support. So that is why, as the moment is in the landing portion is basically less, so what we can do, we can reduce the width or thickness of the landing. So let us assume that the landing is 200 mm. Fine, so that is what we have assumed. Suppose the landing depth is 200 mm and for waste slab it is 250 mm. Fine, and whatever I have discussed already, so this is shown in the graphical manner. So this is the support 300, this is 300, this is 1.25, this is 1.25, and here you can see 270 into 9 is 2430 mm. So this is the total diagram of our staircase, and this is the diagonal. If you see the plan, this is the plan section. Okay, I think there is nothing to describe here. Now let us calculate the loading. So here, as you can see here, there are two locations where you have to find the loading separately. Here, this is the landing. In the landing portion we have waste slab, right? We have the waste slab, which is a different thickness compared to the landing, as well as we have steps over the waste slab. The self weight of the waste slab should be considered, then weight of the steps should be considered, and as well as the finished loading and live loading will be there. But while considering the landing, you have to consider the thickness or the self weight of the landing, which is basically the thickness is 200 mm, so the self weight will be somewhat less, as well as there will be no steps, so only live load and finished load should be considered over the landing. Okay, so in the two steps we will calculate the total load. So let's see. First, let us calculate the loading on the going. So the self weight of the waste slab is 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is a self weight into depth diagonal by T. Okay, so what is this? T is the tread dimension, right? Tread width, that is 270, and this is a diagonal width that we have calculated initially. So into T. So why we have multiplied with this? Why not only self-weight into the total depth. Why not? We have done that, but also multiplied with another factor. The thing is, as you can see, this is the waist slab, which is not straight but an inclined position. But the width is given, the width that we have considered is this one, right? Perpendicular width, which is 250 mm. But the thing is, the load is going to act vertically downward, the self weight is going to act vertically downward, right? So that means we need to find out what is the dimension in this direction. Okay, what is this width? So we need this one, not this one. So it will be slightly more than 250 basically. So how to find out this one? I think you know that. So you just take you just this is the diagonal, basically this is the diagonal, and uh, if I take the ratio of diagonal divided by the thread width, or you can if you are using the trigonometric concept, then also we can find out, because suppose this is small t, then small t cos theta will be is equal to 250, right? Now small t, that means this is the small t, the cos theta will be how much? So if I consider the step, here, let me show you, this is the step. So this is how much? This is 160, this is 270, right? And this is the diagonal which we have calculated, I think 313 something. So what is the cos theta over here? So this is the theta here. So base by hypotenuse, so base is 270 by 313, this is the cos theta value. So if I put this value here, so this will be 270 by 313 is equal to 250, right? So t becomes 250 into 313 by 270, or you can say 250 is what? The depth, into 313 is what? The diagonal, and what is 270? This is a thread. So this is what I have done here, you can see. Okay, so that we get this depth, okay, the inclined depth. So here, as doing this, we get the value of the self weight as 7.276 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, then self weight of the step, we have to consider the self weight. The the step is just like a triangular, right? So it is the half of this rectangular width. So what we can do, we can 25 into r by 2, we can do just r by 2 half, then we will get what is the load that is coming per unit area because of the steps. Okay, 25 into r by 2, this is the r, right? So r by 2, you can get the self weight of the steps. Then finish load, which is already given, 0.6. Live load is already given, 5. So if you add this all this loading and multiply with the partial safety factor 1.5, you will get 2.27297 kilonewton per meter square. Understood? Also, I would like to say that the live load you can see is very high. Also, if you refer to IS 875, you will find that the live load in considered for staircases as well as corridors are very high. This is because the staircases are used for communication. Okay, so while during hazardous condition, there might be the load on the slabs will be very high. So that is why. So it is considered basically higher value. Generally, 5 kilonewton per meter square is used for slabs. Understood? So this is the load on the waist slab. This is in kilonewton per meter square. Okay, clear? The next we will calculate the load on the loading, or the sorry, this should be landing slab. So let's find out what is the load in the landing slab. So that is nothing but only the self weight d landing is 200 mm, right? The depth of the landing is 200 mm we have considered. So in 25 into 200, so it is 5 kilonewton per meter square. Finished load is 0.6, live load is 5. So the total weight in the landing is 1.5, self weight, finished load, and live load, which is 15.9 kilonewton per meter square. So these are the two loads that we can find in the going as well as the landing. So let's see the drawing first. Okay, how the loading looks like. Here you can see this is the landing portion. This is because here you can see we have done that 313 divided by the, that means the diagonal divided by the thread. This is why, because the loading basically, the if I calculate the self weight, this is the waist slab which is an inclined location, but the loading we are calculating in a projected area. So that is why actually we have done that. Okay, so the load comes out to be 22.29 kilonewton per meter square, and here over the landing it is 15.9, and here also 15.9, this one, and 22.29 in the going portion, and this is 1.4, this is 1.4. How it is 1.4? This is 1.25 for landing plus half, that is 0.15, half of 300, that is 0.15 for the support, center to the center of the support, so which gives you 1.4. so this is 1.4, this is 1.4, this is 2.43, right, and the center is 2.615. now there is nothing but to calculate the moment, the maximum moment over here, and the reaction. Okay, the reaction, after only finding out the reaction you can find out what is the maximum moment. So let's do that. So how to find out the reaction R? So I think here you can see R is equal to, this is a symmetric condition, symmetric loading, right? Symmetrically the loading is symmetrically located over the beam or over the staircase. So you just find out total load divided by 2. The total load will be how much? The landing, that is, this is the 15.91 is for what? W landing, right? This is W landing, and 22.92 is what? This is the waist, W waist, because this is the over the waist slab or over the going. So the landing, W landing into 1.14 into 1.14, so that will be total load, that is into 1.14 into 1.4, sorry, 1.4 into 1.4. This is the total load over the landing, and this is the total load over the what? Over the going. Okay, 2.43 divided by 2, that will give you 49.351. so this is the reaction R. R value is nothing but 49.351 kilonewton per meter, kilonewton per meter. Okay, because if I see in 3D view of the steps of the staircase, it looks like this. Yes, it looks like this. So per meter means along this direction, along, we are looking from this direction. So per meter width, in 1 meter width, this is the R value in 1 meter strip. If I see, if 1 meter strip, if this is the 1 meter, so here whatever the R, whatever the moment that we are calculating, so R per meter per kilonewton, this kilonewton per meter. Then moment, the moment I need to find out at the center, because here I am getting the maximum moment. So how to find out the moment at this location? R into this distance, right? R into 2.615, this going in this direction, minus for the loading, it is 15.90. suppose I am considering 15.90 all over the beam, right? 15.90 into how much? This length is 2.615, 2.615 WL square by 2. This is the going downward, so there is another moment. This top portion, this portion will be how much? Minus 22.29 minus 15.90. This is the excessive moment, and which is acting over a length of 2.43 by 2, right? 2.43 by 2 into what is the distance from this, from the midpoint? This is basically 2.43 by 2 by 2 whole square, that is 2.43 by 4. This is a distance, right? Over here this load is acting. So this is how you can find out a moment. I think you already know this. I mean, there is no need to explain how to find out a moment. I think you can understand this particular equation. So after doing the moment, we get a value of a moment which is 69.968, so almost 70 kilonewton meter per meter. Okay, this is the moment. And what is the R value? What is the shear force value? This is 49 kilonewton per meter. Understood? Okay, now let's go to the calculation of the main reinforcement. Here, as we have calculated the moment in per meter width, so B is assumed to be 1000 mm and D is effective depth is already known. We have already done it for the waist slab, which is 224 mm. Now find out the AST. For AST, the equation is already known: 0.5 FCK by Fy whole into 1 minus root over 1 minus 4.598 mu by FCK BD square into BD, and which gives you 865.261 mm square per meter. So this is the reinforcement amount of reinforcement you need to provide per meter width of the slab or the staircase. So let us find out how many numbers of bars are required. So we are assuming suppose 12 mm bars, right? So assuming 12 mm bar, okay, assuming 12 mm bar, this is the equation: area of the bar, 12 mm bar into 1000 divided by total, what is the area of bar required, and this comes out to 130 mm. Okay, so let us provide 120 mm, 12 mm bar at the spacing of 120 mm center to center. Now this is the main bar, right? This is the main bar. That means if this is a staircase, as the whole staircase is going to bend in this direction, so this bar is going to be provided in this direction, in the lower portion, right? Like this bar is to be provided in like this way. Understood? I will show you the exact drawing. Then we also need to find, these are the bars, so but also we need to find out what is the distribution bar. So about the distribution reinforcement, suppose B is assumed to be again 1000 mm, and you know that the minimum area of reinforcement to be provided is basically 0.12%, right? 0.12%. So what is this value? It is 0.12% into BD, which is 300 mm square. And if I find out the spacing, it comes out to be 261, considering 10 mm bar. And in that case, we can provide a distributing reinforcement of 10 mm bar at a spacing of 250 mm center to center. Now let us look at how the detailing is done. So here, this is the main bar. This is the main bar, which is 12 phi at the rate 120 center to center, and these are the distributing bars, which is 10 phi at the rate 250 mm center to center. So in the landing, basically you can provide the nominal reinforcement. It might not be 12 at the, because I have applied the same moment, same reinforcement. To be in the safer side, you can also provide say 10 phi at the rate suppose 120 or 220 center to center, or 200 mm center to center. But I think for as we have calculated this value, and we are very confident about this value, so going for a nominal reinforcement, you can just provide this one, so it will be in the safer side itself. So here this longitudinal reinforcement are itself are 12 phi 120 center to center. Here also distribution reinforcements are 10 phi at the rate 250 center to center. And here you can see the reinforcement provision, how these are provided. So the bar is being continued from the bottom of the slab, then it goes at the bottom of the soffit, and it goes at the top of the landing. Understood? It goes something like this. It goes from here to here. This is, then the beam which is provided at the bottom of the landing goes to here, and it just create the top bar of the waist slab over here. Okay, and this is another bar which is provided separately, and here also you can see this will go and this will end over here. Okay, so this is how basically the reinforcement is done for staircase, waist type of staircase. Okay, if you are designing riser and thread type of staircases, where I have told you that there is no waist slab, but the staircase looks like this, here the reinforcement basically some ring type of reinforcements are provided. So, or you can say the each portion is just like a ring reinforcement, so like this, some reinforcements are provided like this. Okay, so here 4 bars, here 4 bars, here 4 bars, and 4 bars, and then casting is done. So you can go through this kind of design in the book of Len Menon, and I have already discussed with you this waste lab and the loading. Wherever what kind of design is not important, but the main thing is that how to find out the loading. The loading part, I think I have already told you, and other things are that you just need to understand that how this particular structure is going to behave. I have already told you, and I have also told you in this class what is different kind of spanning slabs, like longitudinal spanning, transversely spanning kind of staircases. I would suggest you to go through all this kind of different types of staircases, and if you find any doubt, you can definitely ask me. And also, if you find any problem or under problem, or you are not getting any part of this particular solution, then you can directly contact with me. Okay, so with this I would like to conclude today's class. Thank you.